Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now today I'm bringing you a slightly different style of video, which is all based around you leaving your opinions and giving your input on what I'm going to discuss. Now on the board I've got 4 questions in my rather awful handwriting in which we're going to be discussing, and once again I'll be very interested to see what you have to say. Now all of these questions are regarding red cards and the role they play in rugby. Now we've seen Tom Curry get sent off in the first 3 minutes against Argentina for a head-to-head clash, and we've seen the head be regarded as the same as the shoulder in terms of a tackle and a collision. If you hit someone head-to-head with your head as opposed to your shoulder to head, it's considered exactly the same, and the punishment will be dished out accordingly to the severity and the lack of mitigation effectively. So yeah, we've seen lots of head collisions go unpunished on the same weekend that Tom Curry received red. You saw Jesse Creel against Scotland get away with a blatant head-to-head clash, which you definitely say the TMO will have seen, as they do see pretty much most of the game and the replays also. We saw a head clash in the Wales-Fiji match with Will Rowlands, potentially a little bit more low-key than the Jesse Creel one, but still a head-to-head clash in a dominant tackle. So this brought me on to thinking. First and foremost, the number one question, is every head-to-head going to be a red card or going to be disciplined? If you make head-to-head contact with an opposing player in a tackle, are we going to have any mitigation for this, or is it just going to be classed completely the same as your shoulder? Now, are we going to consider things like the changes and the pace that things do happen in a rugby match, or are we just going to continue with giving out red cards for things in which the player potentially couldn't have done an awful lot about? I mean, in the Tom Curry case, he could definitely have changed his body height. Now, just to clarify, I don't have a particular agenda. I'm not trying to force a specific message. I'm just interested to see what my sort of small rugby community has to say on this. Now, question number 2, sort of leading on from what I was saying, do we need more understanding from officials? Do the officials need to be a little bit more, I'm not going to say lenient, because safety is a huge priority and the best way to stamp out sort of foul play is disciplinary methods. But do we need more understanding of how quickly a picture can change in rugby? Maybe, this is just a suggestion, do we need a sort of like a little stop clock that the TMO uses to determine the time in which the defender has to react to a certain change in direction or height of a ball carrier, or something of the sort? Question number 3, are red cards simply part of the game? Now, sport is all about entertainment. Red card brings drama, entertainment, disagreements, opinions, all of which are things that rugby needs to grow and to dominate the headlines in the media, which ultimately is where the revenue comes from, the interest which gets passed on to broadcasters, etc., and trickles through down to the players. So look, are we getting to the point in which the same way as a penalty or pretty much a yellow card is seen every single game, is a red card just simply part of the circus and part of the sport of rugby? Now, if you are sort of lowering the level of event that is necessary to have a red card, i.e. 20 years ago, the only way you'd really get a red card is by knocking someone out with a punch. In today's game, you can get it for a lack of sort of judgment, a little bit being clumsy and not getting your positioning quite right. So that just shows you the massive change over the last sort of decade or two. So yeah, are they part of the game? Does it make rugby potentially better? Does it make it more sort of dramatic? Who knows? That is up to you to decide. Question number 4, sort of linking on once again to question number 3, do they ruin a game of rugby? Now, sort of question I'd like you to answer is, if you go to watch a game with 2 teams in which you are completely neutral and you don't really care who wins, you just want to watch rugby. If one team receives a red card in the first 5 minutes, does that game become more exciting because you've got sort of an underdog story trying to win? Or do you think, I wanted to see 2 sets of 15 go at it, put their all on the field in an even manner and see who the better team is? Often you see a team which is down to 14 men, they always have like a ready-made excuse. I mean, it is an excuse because it's factual, right? They're down to 14 men, but that is what they'll say after the game. Look, we're up against it, 14 men, and the winning team don't necessarily get 100% of the credit. Now, in a Rugby World Cup knockout match, no one remembers who got sent off and why a team won. It goes down in the history books as either a W, I guess a draw, or a loss. So ultimately, that doesn't matter. So look, that is a question in which I think it's important to answer, because For example, me personally, I'll give my personal opinion. For example, let's say I'm going to watch Saracens play Exeter at Sandy Park. Now, even as a Saracen supporter, if an Exeter player, Henry Slade, for just sake of a name, obviously he's not a dirty player, I don't mean that at all, but if he was to get red carded whilst watching Saracens against Exeter, part of me would feel a little bit frustrated that I haven't got to see a sort of a 15 versus 15 competitive match in which Saracens will then become the favourites to win. I'd rather it just be neutral and just watch the best team win. Now, you often see a team that goes down to 14, they can't run the same set plays because they're a man short. With England on the weekend, they had to opt for drop goals and 3 points to win the match, which you could argue is less entertaining than going for try-scoring opportunities. So look, I'm not going to let this video drag on too long. It's all about understanding what you think and your opinion. So yeah, those are the 4 questions. Is every head-to-head going to be a red card or sanctioned? Do we need more understanding from officials for the scenarios that players encounter? Are red cards part of the game, and do they ruin a game of rugby, or do they make it a bit more entertaining? That is all for you to decide. As always, I'll get back to every single comment in the comment section down below. I'm very interested to post this and see what you all have to say. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.